Sawasdee good morning and welcome to Newsline. We're broadcasting live on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and NBT World. Today is Sunday, May 15th and you're with me, Surabhai Lautharanarit. First up in today's segment of Thailand Moves Forward, Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha has asked members of the general public to be more charitable on Visakha Busha Day. During his national televised speech on Friday, General Prayut said everyone should prepare to be charitable, go to a temple, and listen to sermons in celebration of Visakha Busha Day, one of the most important Buddhist festivals in Thailand. The objective is to commemorate the birth, enlightenment, and death of the Lord Buddha. The Prime Minister also asked that people do 5 good things a day, such as looking after those in need, making donations, or helping others without having to be asked first. Celebrating Visakha Busha also means making a special effort to bring happiness to the unfortunate, like the aged, the handicapped, and the sick. Visakha Busha is also a time for great joy and happiness, expressed not by pandering to one's personal appetites, but by concentrating on useful activities such as decorating and illuminating temples, or painting and creating exquisite scenes from the life of the Buddha for public dissemination. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha has again reminded people that everyone should respect the law and avoid doing anything illegal. On his Returning Happiness to the People program, the Prime Minister said the law must always be respected and that everyone should be a law-abiding citizen. He also brushed aside claims that the government was using the law to force people into voting for the new constitution, saying such a claim were groundless, while also instructing responsible agencies to bring those spreading such rumors to justice. He said the new constitution is for the public to consider and make a decision on. He also urged the people to stop taking sides on issues and put the country's interests before their own when making choices. As the date of the public referendum is approaching, the Prime Minister asked security agencies to keep an eye on those looking to cause strife or instigate conflict, adding that people must come together to foster love, unity, and reconciliation in the country. Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha is preparing for his official state visit to the Russian Federation from May 17th to the 19th, in a bid to strengthen bilateral ties and engage in several treaty signings. The Department of European Affairs revealed that the invitation issued by Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev was the first in 11 years. General Prayut will visit St. Petersburg, the former capital of the Russian Empire, where diplomatic ties were formally established between the two countries 119 years ago. On May 18th, General Prayut will meet with Mr. Medvedev to discuss cooperation in politics, economy, energy, education, and culture, with food security and energy taking precedence. Thailand will also affirm its interest in joining the Eurasia Economic Union. Both leaders will bear witness to the signing of several treaties, consisting of those related to military and agricultural cooperation. On May 19th, General Prayut will travel to Sochi to attend the ASEAN-Russia Summit and meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin to strengthen bilateral relations. The visit by the Thai Prime Minister aims to expand trade between the two countries by 5 times its current value of $2.9 billion. Next year, both countries will celebrate 120 years of diplomatic relations. The National Legislative Assembly, or NLA, has approved an ASEAN treaty on medical equipment. Vice President of the NLA, Surachai Liengbulerchai, made known ahead of the latest assembly meeting that the body has begun its cooperation with the National Reform Steering Assembly to field questions from the public on the public referendum for the draft charter. Up to 170 NLA members from 9 provinces have agreed to take part in the effort to ensure the public is well informed on the vote. The meeting then considered and approved an ASEAN treaty on medical equipment, forwarded to it by the Cabinet. Minister of Public Health Piyasakon Sakon Satyathon explained the agreement, saying it sets standards for inspecting medical equipment, their safety, their categorization, documentation, and monitoring of medical equipment on the market. He stated that the treaty would make the sale of medical equipment across ASEAN easier as the bloc would share standards. The NLA suggested in its approval that the government also create appropriate regulations and delineate responsible agencies in support of the treaty. The Department of Business Development, or DBD, is working with the Thailand Institute of Scientific and Technological Research, or TISTR, on the improvement of Thai SMEs and startups. The DBD has signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with the TISTR in order to bring science, technology, and innovation into the business sector. The MOU seeks to increase the value of Thai products in accordance with the government's Thailand 4.0 policy, which aims to introduce the country to a new economic era where Thailand is no longer a middle-income country. The plan heavily focuses on the SME sector and startup businesses, both of which are the key mechanism in driving sustainable economic growth. Ms. Pongpan Jirawiriyapan, the Director General of the DBD, said both agencies obligated by the agreement will act as advisors to Thai businesses, giving them suggestions and useful information about product improvement, the procurement of raw materials, and production. The Rubber Authority of Thailand is keen to bring development and innovation to the Thai rubber industry. The Rubber Authority of Thailand has struck a deal with 3 organizations, namely the Federation of Thai Industries, the Prince of Songkhla University, and the National Science and Technology Development Agency. Under the agreement, the signatory agencies will work in unison to build networking among different sectors, including agriculture, industry, education, and the government. The network to be developed will in the future play a key role in raising competitiveness of Thai rubber. The agreement mandates that researchers be applied as much as possible to improve the quality and diversify the use of Thai rubber. In this regard, the 4 signatories will for the next 3 years concert their efforts in supporting innovations, studies, and researches on rubber production. According to Dr. Julathep Kajon Chaikun of the National Metal and Materials Technology Center, or MTech, this new cooperation would become a foundation in increasing the competitiveness of the kingdom's rubber industry in the future.
For this collaboration between the 4 main parties, Federal Industry of Thailand, Rubber Authority of Thailand, NASDA, National Science, Technology and Development Agencies, and Prince of Songkhla Universities, we expect to come up with some collaboration platforms to develop innovations to enhance more utilizations of rubber supplies to create more values. In the past, we mainly use rubber in automotive or automobile industry. We think through the course of targeted research and development, we would be able to develop meaningful innovations and to enhance the use in terms of perhaps in transportation, in medical and health, in construction industry. This is some examples, but we need some more discussions in order to set priorities and potential areas to go on in terms of research, development, and expect innovations.
Furthermore, the Rubber Authority of Thailand will play a vital role in expanding the use of rubber in such industries as construction, medical equipment, and cosmetics, not to mention the fact that rubber has already been widely used in the manufacture of motor vehicle tires. Meanwhile, tropical storms which hit the upper part of the country have wreaked havoc in several northern and northeastern provinces. In the north, the storm brought a thunder shower and a hailstorm which blew off the roofs of more than 300 houses in Kamphaeng Phet. Residents said it was the scariest storm they had ever experienced. In the northeast, the storm damaged more than 100 houses and felled utility poles in Nong Khai. The same occurrence was also reported in Amnat Charoen. Provincial offices of social development and human security have offered affected villagers financial aid and essential items. House and infrastructure repairs are already underway. The prolonged dry season has cut a swath through several provinces across the country. Relevant agencies are intensifying efforts to ease the situation. In Surin, the scorching weather has evaporated water in the main reservoir, raising fears that the remaining water supply could run out by the end of May. Water shortages are growing severe in Phrae, Uthai Thani, Surat Thani, and Nakhon Si Thammarat. The crisis has prompted different bodies to combine forces to relieve the impact on people and agricultural areas. Local administrative organizations and the military continue to send water trucks to drought-stricken villages. Related agencies are expediting repairs to water storage infrastructure. Villagers have also helped remove weeds from canals to improve the flow of water into their community reservoirs as they await the start of the rainy season. The Museum and Learning Center Integration Committee organized a press conference to promote the Learning Beyond Classroom project in a bid to elevate Thai education according to government policy. Newsline correspondent Kun Niranut Traijakunit has this story.
Deputy Prime Minister Air Chief Marshal Pratin Chantong said that 11 departments from 8 ministries, including the Ministry of Education, Culture and Science and Technology, have joined hands in organizing extracurricular activities for children and raising the standards of museums and learning centers across the nation.
The Organization of Knowledge of Thailand, OKMD, set up the cooperation between 11 departments to present how the students learn outside the classroom. We will set up the things to create the idea for the student. Use the basic of STEM, science, technology, engineer, and mathematics. To let everyone create the idea.
Air Chief Marshal added that the project focuses on organizing STEM activities to promote learning outside the classroom. The program will provide opportunities for children to receive equal access to learning resources. The Learning Beyond Classroom project is one of the 5 pilot projects managed by the Interdepartmental Committee to implement the government's education policy. I'm Niranut Traijakunit reporting.
Although silk weaving can generally be found in almost every district of Buriram, the largest and most important silk hub in the province is in Napo district. Kun Panosi Sinsap reports.
Making beautiful mudmee silk is an elaborate process that requires time and effort as well as a special skill in weaving silk. The Napo Handicraft Center, led by Prakong Pasatiti, has created neat woven silk with reliable quality and distinctive designs.
We've got together since 1968 due to economic bubble. Before that, we did it separately at home. The center here is a marketplace for anyone to send in their product to be sold.
The very first step in making silk begins with the rearing of silkworms. Many tiny eggs are laid by female adult moths. As tiny black larvae hatch from their eggs, they feed on mulberry leaves. Within 28 days, they are placed into a round basket, ready to spin. 3 days later, the cocoons are ready to be boiled and reeled. There are 2 kinds of yarn in weaving, each of which goes through a different process. After the golden yellow silk from the cocoon is washed and bleached with soap and an alkaline solution, weft yarns are spun by hand with a wooden spindle to make the threads smooth and even. Then they are reeled into 2 or more yarns and firmly bound with plastic rope. To give them more colors, weft yarns need to go through the tie-dye process over and over to create a beautiful motif. In the meantime, weft yarns are dyed once after bleaching. As both yarns are prepared, weft yarns are strung on the wooden loom and combed with a brush. Weft yarns are then woven over and under the weft yarns to create cloth. It takes months for each person to weave 20 meters of mudmee silk. Napo's mudmee silk incorporates traditional motifs of plants and animals, such as peacock and the legendary naga. Pasin Tin Dang, or red hemmed long skirt, is a very exclusive local product of Napo and Puntai Song districts, whose crafting has been passed down for 200 years.
Our silk is made with quality, even color and pattern. The longer you wear, the better it is. The color won't wash out after washing. Our silk is woven by hand on the loom, not a machine, so it is more tightly woven.
Napo Handicraft Center has received many awards for its elegant silk with unique designs. Here, visitors can watch the silk making process and buy classic hand-woven fabric with remarkable beauty. Banot Season-Sap, NBT World, Buriram.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment has set up an institute for the conservation of marine resources under the government's Pracharat or Civil State policy. The Marine Conservation Institute is the first to be inaugurated under the Pracharat policy and is situated in the compound of Sirinath National Park, Phuket Province. The objective of the establishment is to increase the ability of personnel working there to conserve marine resources. The institute helps educate those in positions of authority in effective marine resource management and the protection of marine life. The opening ceremony of the institute was chaired by Minister of Natural Resources and Environment, General Surasak Kanchanarat. At the center, officials will be given 160 hours of training in which they will learn how to rescue marine animals, rehabilitate protected marine areas, and maintain the natural ecological balance. And that's it for today's edition of Thailand Moves Forward. Before we take a quick break, here's a look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Thai. Created from Thai wisdom, used to be served on banana leaf, and the banana tree is used for practicing Muay Thai. Muay Thai was trained in the temples, which can be found on the mountains, in the caves, or on the water, everywhere, just like Pad Thai. There are thousands of other stories to discover. Discover your amazing stories in amazing Thailand.
If the earth is your home, the ocean is theirs as well. Working together, the government and private sector can solve all the issues currently facing the Thai fishing industry. From legitimizing fishing operations to helping out our fellow fishermen and collaborating with international parties.
ตอนนี้ถึงเวลาแล้วนะครับที่เราจะต้องมาร่วมมือกันทำให้มันถูกต้องมันก็ต้องปรับตัวในช่วงแรกแต่ในระยะยาวมันก็คุ้มค่าถ้าไม่มีอาชีพนี้เราก็ไม่รู้จะทำอะไรกันแล้วผมก็พร้อมครับที่จะเป็นส่วนหนึ่งในการแก้ปัญหา
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. Thai students, along with our counterparts from China, South Korea, Nepal, and Taiwan, have rehearsed for the upcoming 8th ASEAN Festival to be held in New York. Ms. Supatra Gosayakan, president of Ratchamongkol University of Technology, Pranakon, told the press that the university is working with the Suffolk County Asian American Advisory Board in preparing Thai students for cultural shows at the 8th ASEAN Festival. The festival will take place at Wachira Thamapratip Temple in New York City, USA. She said these traditional performances have been designed to showcase cultures in the 4 regions of Thailand. Students from China, South Korea, Nepal, and Taiwan also took part in the rehearsal. Now let's take a look at the international news. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro ordered military exercises yesterday as he addressed a rally meant to counter an opposition protest supporting efforts to remove the leftist leader this year amid a grim economic crisis. On Friday night, Maduro declared a 60-day state of emergency due to what he called plots from Venezuela and the United States to subvert him. He did not provide specifics. Protests are on the rise and a key poll shows nearly 70% of Venezuelans now say Maduro must go this year. Maduro has vowed to see his term through, however, blasting opposition politicians as coup-mongering elitists seeking to emulate the impeachment of fellow leftist Dilma Rousseff in Brazil. Critics of Maduro, a former union leader and bus driver, say he should instead focus on people's urgent needs. But the opposition fear authorities are trying to delay a referendum until 2017, when the presidency would fall to the vice president, a post currently held by Socialist Party loyalist Aristobulo Isturiz. International Monetary Fund Chief Christine Lagarde said there were no economic positives to Britain leaving the European Union, now known as the term Brexit. Her blunt warning came as the IMF said the country risks falling into a spiral of weaker economic growth, lower house prices, and diminished foreign investment if voters opt to leave the European Union after the referendum next month. In its annual report on Britain's economy, the IMF said an exit vote would precipitate a protracted period of heightened uncertainty, leading to financial market volatility and a hit to output. The report said a sudden stop to investment in key sectors of the economy, such as commercial real estate and finance, would exacerbate Britain's record-high current account deficit. Lagarde said the hit to Britain's economy, if it votes to leave, would range from quote-unquote pretty bad to very, very bad. The IMF said Britain, after a Brexit vote, could take years to renegotiate trade deals with the EU and other countries, hitting investment and weighing heavily on economic sentiment. After his home was destroyed during the 2014 Hamas war with Israel, a bird keeper, Saeed al-Haddad, decided to convert what was left of his Gaza City home into an aviary. The conflict left more than 2,100 Palestinians dead, most of them civilians, while 73 Israelis, nearly all soldiers, were killed. Many homes like al-Haddad's were reduced to rubble and have yet to be rebuilt. But the 50-year-old Gazan decided to take matters into his own hands and build a space for people to enjoy his collection of birds, including ducks, peacocks, geese, and chicken. Al-Haddad spends his day feeding the birds, cleaning their cages, and showing visitors, many of whom are local children, around his converted premises. Resident Muhammad Ali said that Al-Haddad gave children a chance to learn about animals and help them forget the conflicts they have suffered. And that's a wrap for today's edition of Newsline. If you have any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook or visit our website at thainews.prd.go.th/en. And for today, we're saying goodbye with a celebration by the Thai national volleyball team after beating the Dominican Republic 3-1. I'm Surapal Lautharanarith. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful day. สวัสดีครับ